Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Jerel Hendricks back on the board. We are here, John, for our Week 1 preview show here for South Carolina High School football, John. A lot of really good games last week. Another great slate again this week, really. We had some teams that didn't play last week. Very few of those. We'll see them in action this week, but excited to get everybody back on the grass or turf, as you want to say, this Friday night.
Yeah, and I know Friday we might have a little bit of weather potentially around the state. So that adds another different element to it. I don't know. I haven't heard about any games getting rescheduled, though, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Maybe just a little bit of rain. But, hey, football's meant to be played outside, meant to be playing the rain, meant to be playing the elements.
Yeah, will certainly be fun to see how that shakes out here in the next couple of days. As always, if you guys are tuning in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Check us out here on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram. You can be more at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website, podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly live preview show about 7:15 every Tuesday night. We preview that week's games. It's a lot of fun. Love to have you guys get in here and ask about your team, talk about your team. Definitely join us for that. We do a weekly recap show. Comes out on Sundays typically. We do players of the week, teams of the week, games. We have lots of great stuff. Coach interviews as the week goes along as well. So definitely check us out all throughout the week on all social platforms to make sure you can stay up to date with high school football here and across the state. Before we get going, as always, get your Moving the Chains merch. We got some great hats, got some great toboggans. We've got some hoodies as well. Some really good T-shirts coming soon, hopefully, as well. You can email mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can send your order there. You can DM us here on Facebook, Twitter, email us, whatever. It'd be great. Love to have you guys help supporting us and repping the boys out of the games. It's really quality stuff. The hats are Richardson. Yeah, they're great. The hoodies feel great. Definitely get you some of that as we get rolling here into the football season. You want to be prepared there. But, John, let's get going here with our CONA games of the week. We've got 5 great ball games here. Let's start with the 5A matchup down in the Midlands. We've got Sumter, the Gamecocks at 1-0, traveling to take on White Knoll. The Timberwolves also 1-0 over at the Bank, John. Sumter had a big win over Lakewood, 48-0 last week. White Knoll, a Saturday game, they scored late to beat Camden 21-14 over at Zemp Stadium. What are you looking forward to this ball game? Too, at first glance, looks like 2 hard-hitting, really good defensive football teams getting after it.
Yeah, I think it's certainly going to be a physical game. If nothing else, we saw how physical and big and tough White Knoll was last year. We know what kind of game that Coach Rimpf and the Camden Bulldogs play. They're a very physical, very defensive-minded team as well. White Knoll certainly had the tougher test last week, having to go to Zemp to beat Camden. Sumter, still a rivalry game playing Lakewood, but a game where they certainly were supposed to be overmatching and overwhelming for the Gators. And it turns out they were. They won that game 48-0. I think this is going to be a pretty low-scoring ball game again. I think we probably see a 21-14 type game. I'm honestly not really sure what to expect in this ball game. I think the fact that it's at the Bank and we've seen Logan Sharp play, we know how good of a ball player he is. I'm leaning White Knoll on this for those 2 reasons: veteran quarterback, good leadership, and that's a pretty cool home environment.
It is
that they've got there. That's a cool stadium they've got. They got great support, especially now after that big run they had last year. A lot of excitement around that program, deservingly so. I think this. I could see this game going either way. They're both really good programs now. But I like White Knoll because they're at home.
Yeah.
I'm taking White Knoll. If this game was in Sumter, I might lean Sumter. But I think White Knoll's got a little bit of the edge here.
Great concessions at the Bank as well. They had great stuff last play. They had really good stuff there. Sumter, they started off with a bang last week. Wide receiver Jameer Bay took the opening kickoff to the house. Running backs Cam Fortune and John Peoples. Peoples went 15 for 108 and 2 touchdowns. New quarterback Franklin Richardson kind of getting his feet wet there. They're probably going to rely more on the run game early on until he gets kind of settled in there. One of the better players in the state, an edge for them, Anthony Addison, a USC commit. He's a really dynamic ball player playing kind of a DE linebacker spot and get after the quarterback. He will be a big key if they're going to win that ball game on Friday. On the White Knoll side, Landon Sharp threw a couple touchdowns last week. Had some really nice runs late in the game, too, on that last drive to get them down there for that go-ahead touchdown. Running back Tyon Fanning, as a name you've heard, he's been a great player for over a year now, pretty much. Caleb Geronimi caught a touchdown last week. Devin Geronimi had an interception last week. So the brothers getting after it there for White Knoll. Looking at this ball game, John, it's going to be a very interesting matchup because, we saw Sumter last year, and a lot of those same guys are back with Fortune and Peoples and Addison and whatnot. But the thing that kind of struck me when I saw them play was they didn't have a ton of explosiveness at that time. It felt like I didn't really have that big playability. Obviously, the kids are a year older now. Another year in the weight room, they may have some of that. But I think to beat White Knoll, you're going to need some big plays. Because I think you can't just sit there and drive it 3, 4, 5 yards at a time against that defense. They're going to be able to stop you there. I'm with you. I'm leaning White Knoll at home. I love Sharp, the quarterback. Super 75 guy, really good quarterback. One of my favorite players in the state, honestly. He can get it done. And then just too many weapons. I like Geronimo. I like Fanning. I think White Knoll here, I think, is the play. I say that, but I still do have some concerns about White Knoll. I just do. I'm a little worried. Saw an interview with Coach Pelham last week. He's like, I don't really know what we've got yet. Not sure what we've got. And early in the season, you don't really know. But I'm still leaning towards the Timberwolves here at home. Jerel, any thoughts from you? Any thoughts from the chat on this ball game here over at the bank?
I'm just going to go against you guys just because it's always fun to do it every week. So I'm going to go with Sumter. I think they've got a really good team. I think they're very complete. Like you said, a lot of those guys are coming back from last year. And what's concerning for me is that White Knoll offense, at this point in time. And, with them only putting up 21 points against Camden last week, that's kind of scary because I think that Sumter may be able to get some things going. And, but you guys make great points. With it being at White Knoll, it's going to be pretty difficult. That defense is always salty, over there. So should be a low-scoring, fun football game. Let's go to the comments. People just happy to see your faces as always, guys.
Adrian, appreciate you. Big game for the Lions this week. We'll talk about that one here in the 1A ranks in a little bit. Strom Thurman in the building. They got a big one, too. Appreciate you, boss man, tuning in. Turl, yeah, we love going to Clinton, man. It was a great atmosphere, a great ball game, too. Hopefully we make it down to another big one here later on this season. Chris, how will Stratford match up with Daniel? Yeah, that's interesting. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. We got the Summerville game. We'll break that down. But Stratford Summerville didn't really play a full game. See how that works out. Brian says Timberland Lake City. Yeah, that's a good ball game. 2 big lines there. Mitchell's taking Sumter. Certainly could. This is a toss-up. I mean, I feel like all of our games of the week typically are, toss-up matchups. So certainly could see it going the Gamecocks' way there, Mitchell.
Let's move on to the next game, guys.
Our second CONA game of the week. A really fun matchup here for me to talk about. And it's a game that I'm looking forward to learning a ton about both teams because they've been 2 really high-level programs the last couple of years, John. And that's South Florence, the Bruins at 1-0, traveling down to Summerville to take on the Green Wave, who are also 1-0. South Florence took down West Florence 23-16 last week. Really tough rivalry matchup there. Summerville, they won 28-14 over Stratford. That game was called to the third due to some threats of stuff going on. Let's just leave it at that. So didn't get a full ball game in there for the Green Wave, but so South Florence led by Messiah Jackson at quarterback, went 11 for 18, 170, a TD throwing and running. Running back Trey Leonard had a touchdown rushing. We got a little bit banged up. See if he's back. I'm not sure. A sophomore running back, Cameron James, looked really good for them. Jaden Sellers, the SC commit, had 7 catches for 125 and a touchdown. Defensively, Willie Kennedy, 16 tackles for the Bruins last week. Big game for him. Obviously, Cameron Coe, Terry Gordon, 7 tackles each. Amari Adams up front. The Clemson commit is a stud there for South Florence. On the Summerville side, in a shortened game, Jaden Cummings, 3 touchdowns. I believe he's a Dartmouth commit there. Really good player, Super 75 guy there for him. 2 of them went to Jaden Kelly Murray. Javen Williams leading that ground attack there. Defensive lineman Yasir Smith's the guy I really like there, John. This is a game where, I feel like if it was last year, it may be even a bigger matchup because of some of these teams, some of those players that we've lost now, but still a really fun game from the Bruins and the Green Wave.
Yeah, these are 2 really, really good programs. I think both programs have a chance to win state championship in their classification. South Florence in 4A, Summerville in 5A. I would have gone, I think if we had made a pick 2 weeks ago, I would have gone South Florence because I think they have more talent on that team. And they're extremely well coached. We've seen them play a number of times. They're a clean program, but I'm a little hesitant on both teams. After what happened last week, I was expecting a little bit more from Summerville over Stratford. And then, South Florence was in a dogfight. I was following that score while I was at the game over in Belton. I mean, that was a dogfight. I think they were down a majority of that first half.
West Florence had a lead until late there. So,
I didn't expect that. I thought that was going to be a 2-3 score win for South Florence. So I'm really unsure. That was a game that really surprised me last week. I think I'm still pretty convinced that South Florence has got more talent and got as much talent as anybody in the state on their sideline. But that game scared me a little bit. And we've talked about, what that downfield passing game looks like. They had some good success on Friday, but still the end result, 23 points.
Yeah.
I don't think that same offensive effort's going to get it done down in Summerville on Friday. I'm going to take the Green Wave being at home. I think if South Florence plays to their potential and they play, they play to their talent level, I think they win the game. I just don't know if they do it Friday. I think they'll get there as the season goes, but after last Friday, I'm a little hesitant in this game to pick the Bruins.
I'm a little worried as well about the health of South Florence. I think that Raleigh Jett, I believe, may be done for the season. One of the running backs, and Trey Leonard as well. I think they got a little banged up. Not sure what his status is there. And going to Summerville, it's a really historic stadium. John McKissick, is it John McKissick Field or John McKissick Stadium? Either way, really historic there. Super nice place to play. Like great atmosphere. Not gonna be an easy task there for the Bruins. And Summerville was impressive to me last week. Stratford's not a bad football team at all. To beat them by 2 scores in a shortened game there, I thought was a good showing for Coach Rafferty's squad there. I'm going to lean South Florence here. I still like the run game. I think they've got enough run game to do something there. I said I really like the Cameron James kid they're running the ball for them. I'm going to take South Florence in a close one, but this could be the best game of the weekend, really.
It really could. And what do you think here? I think we're going to see another pretty low-scoring ball game in this one, too.
Yeah. Jerel, thoughts on this one? Comments from the chat on this ball game?
Keep it brief. I'm going with John. I think Summerville wins this game. I like them playing at home, and I'm a little worried about that South Florence offense. But we got a lot of comments on this one, as we thought that we would.
Love it. South Florence by 7 from Bradley.
Okay.
Mitchell says toss up, but going Summerville.
Ditto.
Yeah. Marquis says Summerville on the wave. Real tough to play. South Florence by 3. Yeah, it should be a tough ball game. And Marquis was helping us out a lot last week with some different notes on South Florence. It sounded like the quarterback, Messiah Jackson, really kind of growing up throughout the game for South Florence. A guy that was not asked to do much last year, handing the ball off a ton and whatnot. Those are a little bit more now. We'll see how that goes there. Tank said, I saw his pick there. Jeffrey says if South Florence can run the game, they can win the ball. Or if they can run the ball, they can win the game. Certainly what they're going to try to do. James says, let's go Blue Flame. Big win for Pickens in overtime last week. Chris asked about Wagner Sallow. We'll get to them in a little bit. The big win for Coach Gillespie there in his first game as well. Chris, good to see you, buddy. We'll get to Gaffney here in a minute. Big matchup against JL Mann this Friday. Malik just got here, but did Dylan answer your question late? Yeah, we'll talk more about Dylan Lewis. That was a great win for those guys against a good Scotland County team. We'll talk about them here in a bit. But, John, let's look now at our third CONA game of the week. This is a fun matchup here, too. 2 teams. It is a cross-class game, a 5A, 4A game. But we got Lexington, the Wildcats, heading down to North Augusta, taking on the Yellow Jackets. Both teams 1-0. Lexington blanked Gilbert last week, 24-0. Got some revenge after losing to the Indians last year. North Augusta, they played Thompson out of Georgia, got a 25-18 win over those guys. John, what do you see happening in this ball game between the Yellow Jackets and the Wildcats?
I was really impressed with Lexington last week. That Gilbert game, Gilbert's tough. You expect Lexington to win that game. It's a rivalry game. Gilbert's got a lot of talent. I thought that game was going to be a pretty close game. I was thinking maybe Gilbert will win it. They shut him down.
Yeah.
Gilbert's got a lot of talent on that offensive side of that football. They got a new coach there at Gilbert, but it's a guy that's familiar with the program. It's not like they're completely revamping things, and it's going to take them, a long time to get it, installed.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with that win. I think that means a lot for Lexington and for this program. I tell you what, I think Lexington wins this game, and I think they win it kind of handedly. I think it's a 2-score game.
Running back, linebacker Matt McCauley for Lexington scored a touchdown on the ground. Quarterback Brennan Carter did as well. They've got 10 defensive starters that are seniors. These guys, they're not all returning starters, but they're all seniors, guys that have got, 3-4 years in the weight room now, a lot of experience. So that's a big plus, I think, for Coach Curtis's squad there. And you mentioned it, John, not just that they won the ball game, but the fact they shut out Gilbert that has a lot of weapons on offense. That was really impressive to me. Great job by Coach Curtis and that defensive staff there for sure. North Augusta, quarterback Corey Tillman, Super 75 guy, 14 for 26, 226 through the air, 3 touchdowns passing, 1 rush touchdown. Wide receiver Connor Brown, 7 for 131, 2 touchdowns. Running back Michael Doe, he's a D1 guy in the backfield. He's a great player as well. Offensive lineman Malcolm Gaston getting a ton of offers. Defensively, DeAndre Basket up front, I like him a lot. DB Ty Burke had 3 PBUs last week for the Yellow Jackets as well. Coach Bush's squad played really good against a pretty good Thompson team there. I'm going North Augusta at home. I think that's a big plus for them. And I think the combination of Tillman and Doe in the backfield is just too much, man. Those guys are fast. They fly around. They can get it done. Should be a real interesting ball game there. I like North Augusta in this one, but could be a tight one.
Yeah, I think that Lexington defense is going to be tough. And you got to talk about 5A-4A. Wildcats got a little more depth. Love Coach Curtis. You know, he's done some great things with AC Floor and now at Lexington. This is, I think, year 2 for Coach Curtis at Lexington. I expect a nice little jump, and we certainly saw it last week. But should be a good ball game. Chris saying North Augusta and a slugfest by 2. Could see that too. Now, you mean 2 points or 2 scores?
Yeah, Bossman got North Augusta as well. Yeah, and I think for me, John,
very good.
Lexington didn't have to do a whole lot offensively last week. They just kind of kept it pretty simple. They scored, I think, one of the touchdowns on a trick play actually there. Okay. They're going to need to get some pass game going. I think you got to be multiple to beat North Augusta, and I think I like the fact that the Yellow Jackets can run it and throw it. I think Lexington's a little more run heavy right now, so I'm going to go North Augusta. Too much speed, too multiple, I think, but could be a really fun ball game. And if Lexington wins this one, that they were putting 5A on notice at that point. That's 2 really good wins. I know it's over 4A teams. They beat them both, but that would be a great way for Coach Curtis to start the season there. But I'm going North Augusta here in a close one. Lots of great comments. Looks like we're going both ways. Lexington, North Augusta on the comments there. But, Jerel, what do you like in this matchup? Who do you think gets it done here?
Keep it brief, man. I like North Augusta in this one. I think they're just going to get it done. I like the offensive playmakers. I think they have a solid team. I think the majority of the chat is leaning that way, and I'm going to lean with them. But I am impressed with what I saw with Lexington this past week in week 0, because they had to replace a ton, especially offensively from last year's team. To see them do that and then blank a very good team like Gilbert, it was good to see them do that. But I'm leaning North Augusta by 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say X factor for the Yellow Jackets. Connor Brown out wide, 2 touchdowns last week, had a couple really nice snags in that ball game. I think he's the guy that might make a play to win that ball game for North Augusta. But let's look now at our 4th CONA game of the week. A really, really big one here, John. That's the Gaffney Indians traveling over to Greenville, taking on the JL Mann Patriots. Gaffney did not play last week. They're still 0-0. JL Mann, they're 1-0. They smoked Midland Valley, 56-0, non-competitive ball game there. A surprise to me. I thought we knew Midland Valley was down a little bit because you lose Trayvon Dunbar, you're not going to be the same team right away. But to shut them out, to score 56, that was really surprising to me. They were led by quarterback McLeod Darnell. In his first start, John, 15 for 16, 188, 2 touchdowns. LaDainian Martin, a touchdown running. Nasias Morrison, 2 touchdowns running. Keyshawn Henderson, a touchdown catch. Bruton and Whitner at DB. Linebacker Wyatt Ward, 10 tackles. Joshua Lee, 2 picks. Coach Watson has those boys rolling. Do they roll again this week over Gaffney? Does Gaffney have something for them? What do you think here about this matchup?
And I'm not sure. I'm a little hung up on who has the advantage here. Is it JL Mann because they got to play a game? They got that real-time action? Or is it Gaffney for having another week to prepare and get ready?
Getting some film, too, on JL Mann, yeah.
On JL Mann. I'm torn on who that really benefits the most. I think both can see benefits from it. I think it's great for Gaffney to have another week to prepare for JL Mann specifically. Whether they did that or not, I don't know. But it's another week to prepare, practice, get ready. But for JL Mann, boy, that's a great start. That's a good quality Midland Valley program. I thought they would win. I thought they would win handedly. Mm-hmm. I didn't think they were going to put up 56.
You didn't take them by 50 spot, John?
Yeah, I should have listened to Maurice. He was right. Yeah, that was very impressive. Being in Greenville, that helps. You don't have to go to the reservation. If it was just the players on the field and you say, hey, here's the players coming over, the visiting team, here's the home team, here's who they got, I go, JL Mann's going to win this game. But it's Gaffney.
Yeah.
And I see Gaffney winning this kind of ball game. I think this is one of those games where it's a tight game all the way through. And then the fourth quarter, Gaffney does something that Gaffney typical Gaffney fashion. We see a big fourth down stop or a special teams play, a fumble, something where it flips over to Gaffney and we go, gosh, JL Mann probably should have won that game. I think that's what we see Friday night. I saw somebody say 28-27. I think we see that kind of game where it's 28-27 and Gaffney blocks an extra point, something like that to make the difference. I think this is going to be an incredibly even ball game. And I tell you what, it might not be the only time we see this ball game this year.
Certainly.
And then the tinfoil hat comes into play for me. Hey, this is a big game for both teams, but do you shove everything in this game? And do you say, hey, we might see these guys in the playoffs. Maybe we keep a little bit under our sleeve for the fall. I don't know. I know you can't project and say, oh, we're definitely going to play these guys in the playoffs, but I don't know. It's something fun to think about here in week 1.
So I got bad news for you, John. They're in different 5A divisions.
Oh, no.
JL Mann is in Division 1, Gaffney in Division 2. I was trying to think about that as we were talking. I was like, I'm not sure if it is a matchup or not, but
well, that foils that.
Gaffney led by quarterback Javon Gilmore, Arkansas commit, Super 75 guy there. Running back Jaden McDowell, a superstar, has been for 3 years now. Really good out of the backfield and running the ball, catching the ball, both of those there. Jamarcus Smith, great player. Offensive lineman Shed Surratt, South Carolina commit. Defensively, Andrew Rupp gets it done for there. I think, what is kind of keeps sticking in my head, you mentioned, is it a advantage to a play the game or not play the game? They always say, at least I've always heard, that the biggest change in a team comes from that first game to the second game. You have time to, cut out some of the dumb penalties, work out some of the kinks there. And I think in a game where the teams are this equally matched, I think that's a really big deal. If maybe Gaffney has, let's say, 6 penalties, JL Mann has 1, that could be the difference in the ball game. Just stuff like that. I think it's that side of a matchup here. And, an X factor for me is the coaching. Coach Scoot Watson is a defensive genius there for JL Mann. What's he going to show Javon Gilmore to give him some new looks? Yeah, exactly right, Marquise. I agree with you there, man. He hangs his hat on that defensive side of the ball. What's he got in store for that Gaffney offense? No offense to some of the teams that Javon was playing last year, but JL Mann's probably a step up for some of those guys he was playing at that level when he was been left last season. So I'm going to go JL Mann at home here. I think they win this ball game, but this is going to be a ton of athletes all over the field. It'll be a fun ball game. Probably the game I'm going to go to. I haven't decided for sure. I don't know about you, John, but that's certainly one that's in the run for Friday night. I know we had lots of comments there, Jerel. Any of them that you didn't get to pop on the screen, you want to pop on the screen? Any thoughts from you as well in this big-time 5A matchup? Yeah, Jerel, you're exactly right. Jerel County has changed the game. We got a lot of programs that are putting money into it now. It used to be where you get Greenville was pretty good. Hillcrest had some good talent, but now it seems like you got a team like JL Mann popping up. You got, Riverside and Eastside both with big-time, Power 5 commits last couple years. The private schools, of course, there. Yeah. Greenville County is certainly on the come-up, it feels like, in football. Ballsman says should be a good one. I agree, man. This is going to be a fantastic ball game. Gaffney has way too many weapons this year. Closer to the Gaffney half. It certainly could be. That's another thing, too. With Gaffney not playing a game yet, we might not know some of those names that are going to be breakout guys. We know Jamarcus Smith, we know Jay McDowell, but outside of that, who are some of the key playmakers there for the Indians that we'll find out more about this week.
And Bradley, you're right. I think JL Mann's got great weapons. LaDainian Martin, quarterback had a great start.
Yeah,
that's a ton of confidence right there.
I love it, Nathan. What's undefeated for next week? JL Mann could go 3 weeks in a row being games of the week. We're just going to maybe go ahead and put that out there. We'll see how that goes next week, but certainly could be. Jeffrey took Mann in this one.
Guys, I gotta go JL Mann, gotta represent, Greenville County schools here. They're gonna win by 7. I think Gaffney obviously gonna have a great season. I'm excited to see the quarterback, break in that new quarterback there and see what he's able to do. But I think this Mann team is just gelling. They've been on the upward trajectory for the last couple of years. And like you said, Coach Watson, he's been studying some film too, so he's gonna be prepared for these guys. And I think that the Patriots get it done.
Yeah, Jerel, do you think that Gaffney not playing a game, JL Mann plays a game? Where do you lean with that? How do you think that really helps both the squads?
Well, I didn't want to call you out. You said, they had all this film to watch. I don't think there's much film to watch because I think this game was over like halfway through the second quarter. So
they must not showed anything last week.
So I don't think there was much film to watch in that one. I think they've had a running clock in the second half. So I don't know. I think there's an advantage, obviously, in getting to play a game, get to game speed. But Gaffney's a program. I mean, you know how good they are. They're going to be prepared. They're going to be ready to go. I don't think it's minuscule if there is any sort of advantage. I think it's just the fact that you got that live rep and you got to go through it. But I like Mann in this one, but I like obviously both teams here.
Yeah, for sure. Our fifth CONA game of the week, our SCISA game of the week here. Thomas Heyward, 1-0, traveling to Colleton Prep, 1-0. A region matchup here, John. Two teams that it's a rivalry game here. Thomas Heyward took down Bethesda, a bigger school, last week, 41-32. Colleton Prep beat St. John's Christian 28-13. Thomas Heyward had big plays on defensive special teams all night long for the Rebels there. Josh Gibson, 2 kickoff return touchdowns. Donovan Robinson, Colton Young, both pick sixes there for the Rebels. Antonio Banner rushed for 97 and 2 touchdowns. Colleton Prep, Walker Bryan, 221, 4 tuds on the ground. Cale Owens ran for 101 out of the quarterback spot as well. They were up 28-0, kind of took the foot off the gas there late in that ball game. John, I mean, I don't know if you can replicate 4 defensive and special team scores each week, but if you can, they're going to win a lot of ball games.
Yeah, and for me, maybe you can replicate that a couple more times. I don't think you do it back-to-back weeks, though. So I'm going with the hometown team or the home team here. I don't think they can replicate that kind of performance.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. But, hey, they did it. And they're really good.
Yeah, they beat a bigger school. The team that won a state title last year in Bethesda, beating them was very impressive. Yeah. I'm going to lean with them. I like the O'Banner kid a lot. He's got a lot of talent there in the backfield for Thomas Heyward. I'm going with those guys. But should be a fun ball game, a good old-fashioned rivalry. That'll be a lot of fun in the SCISA ranks there. Jerel, any comments from the guys about anything in general before we move into our next portion of the program there?
Before we move on, obviously, we got to throw this one out there.
Bulldogs got the Dogs by 21 over Clemson. Come on, Bulldog. That man.
Easy cover.
I'd like to get one more score in there. 14, I can live with that.
That is all we have. Let's play some Bills around here, guys.
Yeah, one more time. Our CONA games of the week. If you guys missed it, we'll break those, or you can tune back in, listen to the beginning once we get on the show. It's always going to be there. We had Sumter at White Knoll, South Florence at Summerville, Lexington at North Augusta, Gaffney at JL Mann, and Thomas Heyward at Colleton Prep for our CONA games of the week here in week 1. Jerel, friends of the program, then let's start at the 5A slate here, John.
Need a new ride to get you to the big game? Founders Federal Credit Union has auto loan rates that'll get you in the driver's seat without breaking the bank. And here's the best part. No payment for up to 90 days. Drive to victory with a loan that suits your budget. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto today and score your dream car with an auto loan from Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Member qualification required.
The Georgia Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgiaagency.net. That's thegeorgiaagency.net. Now, let's take a look now at the statewide schedule. Let's start up in 5A, then we'll make our way down through the ranks.
Yeah, we'll start in the Low Country. This is a cool matchup you don't see very often. Greenwood is going to Beaufort.
A fun one there, too, because Coach Liburn at Beaufort, a Greenwood grad.
Yeah.
So, fun game there. I was impressed with Beaufort last week. They had a nice, showing. Lost to Fort D, but played them tough. I think the Eagles may step up in class and win this ball game.
I think they do, too. Playing at home. Mm-hmm. That's a cool stadium. I haven't seen a game there. That's a cool stadium, boy. It's tucked back in there.
Yeah.
It's what you would picture Beaufort Stadium to be if you've never been there. Cool place. Wade Hampton will be at Blue Ridge. Midland Valley will try to get off the mat. They'll go to Blythewood.
And Blythewood looked good last week. Big win over Nation Ford. We'll see what Midland Valley can do here in week 2. They still got plenty of talent. We know they were kind of rotating some quarterbacks last week. We'll see what they settled on there. I don't know. But that game will teach us a lot about both teams, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Blythewood by 14,
I can see that.
Says Jeffrey.
We'll see Malden going to Boiling Springs.
Boiling Springs looked really good last week. A shutout win over Greer. Lincoln Husky, I think, had 6 touchdowns. I believe he threw some, caught some, and he might have ran for one, too. I can't remember the exact stat line there, but big game for Lincoln Husky.
That's pretty fun. This is a marquee matchup from a name perspective. Irmo going to Burns. Burns, you talk about who were you most impressed by in a loss? For me, it's probably Burns. They were toe-to-toe with TL Hannah all night, nearly won that game. I I think they lost by, 3?
Yeah, interesting decision there. Down by 3. They get the ball to T.L. Hanna's 21-yard line. Instead of kicking a field goal, they try to throw it in the end zone. Incomplete, game over. Rebels lose there. Surprising call there from Coach Shaw. I don't know the kicking situation. Maybe that's why. I don't know, but that was a surprise. And this week doesn't get any easier. Irmo, I guess, this game will be at Irmo, I guess, technically. Since the game is at Irmo. Irmo looked really good. Big win over Oceanside Collegiate last week. They know they're big, physical, Brand, Murph, all those guys are super great players for them. You just worry if you're Burns, you lose a tough one last week. If this game doesn't go your way, how is it hard to I guess, keep the faith? Because you got some things going against you where you're playing all your games on the road, and this and that. You need a good showing if you're the Rebels for sure. But I like Irmo in this ball game.
Yeah, I think even if Burns goes 0-2, if they lose another game where it comes down to that last drive, I think the narrative in that Burns locker room, in that Burns bus going back to Duncan is, hey guys, we got everything. We hear Dabo say it all the time. A lot of college coaches saying, even when they lose a game, hey, we got everything still in front of us. Mm-hmm. And that is so true in high school football because you still got region in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. This doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Play 2 really good teams. If they lose this game, but if they lose the closest player, 2 really good teams really close, you could say, hey, you know what? By the end of the year, maybe we can flip that. Mm-hmm. And if you can compete with Irmo, I think.
Yeah, Chris, you're not wrong there.
I see you there, Chris.
Yeah.
But if you compete with Irmo, I think you can compete with just about everybody in the state.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I think this game might be closer than what Irmo fans will want it to be, but I still think the Yellow Jackets come out on top. We'll see Ashley Ridge going to Cane Bay. AC4 will be at Chapin. North Myrtle Beach goes to Darlington. Darlington beat Lamar last week, and that was a game I was really not. Hey, I got to, Bulldog.
Darlington, that was a big win for them. Jalen Augustus, the quarterback, is one of the most underrated players that nobody's talking about. He's a really good quarterback there for the Falcons. Coach Johnson does a great job. That was a nice win over Lamar last week for sure.
Yeah. We'll see Wren going to Easley. 2
teams that put up a lot of points last week. Wren with a big shutout win, Easley losing by 1 in overtime there to Pickens. So could see some fireworks, but I think I like Wren in that one.
Catawba Ridge, they'll go to North Carolina to play East Gaston. Carolina will be at Eastside. Chester goes to Fort Mill.
Chester, tough loss to Lancaster, and I believe the quarterback Trooper Floyd may have gotten banged up as well. Not sure his status as far as how long he might be out, but did not sound good from what I heard originally. Prayers for Trooper. Hope he's okay, but might be a tough move for Chester there.
Yeah, it could be a tough game against Fort Mill. Being a 5A program too, that's not going to be easy. Fort Dorchester will go to Goose Creek. Nice little rivalry game there.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one down there. Malik McGowan for Goose Creek. Excuse me. Ryan Campbell for Fort Dorchester. A great run back matchup in that one.
Dorman will go down to Georgia. They'll play the very well-known Grayson program. All kind of talent familiar to that Grayson program. Dorman, great win against Greenville last week. I did not think they were going to win that game. This week at Grayson, it's going to be give them everything you got, and let that game be what it is. You're playing a great program.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, have fun, do the best you can. Greenville, speaking of the Red Raiders, Dion, 28,
probably right.
Probably a pretty good number. Greenville will host Riverside. They'll try to even the slate at 1-1. Carolina Forest, we go to Hartsville. This is an interesting matchup here.
It's a game in our pick'em was close to being maybe one of the games of the week. A really cool matchup there. Coach Morris' squad, Coach Calabrese's squad. 2 offenses that can get it done, but get it done in really different ways there. Hartsville with their playmakers, Demarion Coe, Webb Barnes back at defense there. They're a fun team to watch always. Carolina Forest can always score. I'm going to take Hartsville at home in this one, but that'll be a fun, exciting matchup.
I'm going to take Carolina Forest.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a shootout, and they win a shootout. We'll see Hillcrest host Clover.
Both teams had nice wins last week. Hillcrest blanking Lawrence. Clover going across state lines to beat Chambers there. A nice win for them. The running back there for Clover, Landon Stone's a really good player, but I like Hillcrest in this one. Too much firepower offensively, and the defense looked great against Lawrence this week too.
You got a nice vacation game here. James Island at Hilton Head Island. Lancaster will go to Indian Land. Conway will be at Loris.
My boys,
my
Loris Lions.
They look good.
They looked really good last week. I think they beat a 5A team this week. I'm going to take the Lions again.
Okay, cool. We will see.
Armani says Clover by 20. That would be a surprise if they win by that much for sure. But yeah, Coach Woolbright, great coach, done a fantastic job. But 20 seems like a lot. I don't know. Tank says he likes
Okay.
Hartsville. Yeah, I think so too. That'll be a fun ball game.
We'll see a Kershaw County rivalry. Camden going to Lugoff-Elgin. Lugoff-Elgin getting a first win in fantastic fashion.
Yeah.
For Coach Boulware there. The wide receiver double pass with 16 seconds.
It was
left.
like what 4th and 35 too, right? But they scored the
yeah.
touchdown on the double pass to win. I heard John was high on the Demons this week.
Maybe not this week.
Demons by 50 is what I heard John say. I don't know.
Well, somebody might win by 50. Hopefully it's not that much.
Yeah.
I heard he's going to be down there selling 50 burger t-shirts. That's just what I heard.
Yeah, they'll make them. We've seen them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Boulware, with what he does offensively, I think you guys at Lugoff-Elgin can score some points, stay in the ball game. What happens at the end, I don't know. But will be a fun matchup. I think it's going to be a fun rivalry moving forward when Coach Boulware really kind of, gets his feet wet there at Lugoff-Elgin for sure.
Hey, social improvement. Don't get beat by 50 and, roll from there. We'll see Myrtle Beach hosting West Florence. Lexington, one of our CONA games of the week, Lexington going to North Augusta. Philip Simmons will be hosting Lucy Beckham. Northwestern will be at Ridgeview.
Shout out Northwestern, big comeback win. They were down 20 last weekend and came back to beat Huff in a kind of cross-state matchup there. Finley Polk, all those guys looked great there for Coach Walford's squad. Ridgeview, big win as well for them with Gidron and Heyward and those guys. But I think Northwestern a little too much firepower. Doing a stop and make a shout out here to all the South Carolina teams who beat all the Georgia and North Carolina. I don't think we lost a cross-state game last week. I believe I think 2-0 against Georgia, and I want to say 4 or 5-0 against North Carolina. So the Palmetto State put on repped pretty well last week.
And we beat them in the Shrine Bowl too, didn't we?
That's true. That's true.
Hey, whenever they want to play, let us know.
We'll take them. Except for we don't want Grayson this week. That might be a tough one.
That's different. In the Midlands, we'll see Brooklyn, Casey. They will go to River Bluff. South Point at Rock Hill. Big time game there in District 5.
Yeah, interesting to see what Coach Burks is going to do there for the Bearcats. I heard there was some quarterback maneuvering possibly. I don't know what's going to happen there. Obviously, they got weapons with Ratley and Clark and those guys. South Point, a tough last-second loss to Spartanburg, a last-second field goal. They lost that ball game. I believe McMillan is still out at quarterback, but Currents is there still for them. That'll be a real interesting ball game to follow. And I go over, I think it's at D3 Stadium, right, I believe?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I said District 5, District 3 Stadium.
Yep.
Dillon will be at Socastee. Spartanburg hosting Dutch Fork. Boy, they better buckle in. The Vikings knocked off Dutch Fork last year, so Dutch Fork is going to be ready for this ball game. Spartanburg win 2 in a row against Dutch Fork. That would be you can hang your hat on that. That'd be pretty big time.
Dutch Fork didn't play last week, so it is their first game as well. We'll learn a lot about them. Spartanburg, the worry is still kind of similar to me. Is what do they have offensively? I know I think they kicked a couple field goals last week. It wasn't really explosive, but obviously South Point's a good team too. So we'll see. But I do like Dutch Fork in this one. I don't know about 60 points there, Chris, but I like the Sore Foxes to win.
We'll see Lower Richland going to Spring Valley. Daniel will be at Stratford.
I believe this game, Nathan, if you're in here, you may know. I believe it's like somewhere in the Midlands. I think they're not playing at Stratford. I believe they're playing a kind of a neutral site there for this one. Stratford is a solid ball club. Played Summerville fairly tough last week. I think Daniel they looked really good last week against Chapman. I think they've got too much firepower. I think the Lions win.
I think this could be a really, really good game. I think Daniel wins too, but I think it's going to be really close. I think we're looking at a 7 to 10 point game. They'll be playing at Airport. Okay, very cool.
Yes, thank you, Marquise.
Cool. All right. Well, that was nice of Stratford to oblige that. I'm sure that was Daniel's idea to not go that far.
Thursday as well. I did not see that. Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Very good to know. Good to know. All right. We'll see Hanahan going to Wando.
Hanahan, a tough loss last week to Philip Simmons. Kind of just shot themselves in the foot a couple times with some penalties and some bad snaps and whatnot. But played a good football game as far as yardage goes. Gained a ton of yards. Just had some backwards plays as well there. Wando, first win for Coach Isaiah Perrin there. Cole Fletcher, big game for them. That'll be a fun one down there on the coast.
Yeah, it'll be a good game. Also down the low country, May River will be at West Ashley.
Two of my surprise teams last week. May River had a big win over Airport, and then West Ashley knocked off Lucy Beckham. Didn't see that coming. Whoever wins this ball game is going to really be on my radar moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that May River program, they are like right here. They are close to cracking the seal and being a pretty good program. Lakewood will be at Westwood. I'm not sure what to take from this game. Westwood should win this game.
Yeah.
We'll see. Sumter will be at White Knoll, one of our CONA games of the week. Berkeley making a big trip down to the Orlando area where they will play Winter Park. I know Winter Park's a big area.
Yeah.
Orlando's got great football. I'm not sure how good Winter Park High School is this year. That's a big deal. Really cool to see Berkeley go down there. Go down there and play that game.
Yeah, Berkeley, a nice comeback win over Ashley Ridge last week. They were down for a while there, but then Henry Rivers and guys got it rolling. Great win for Coach Lodge's squad. You know, he's a Florida guy, came from Florida, so maybe he's got some connections down there. But I'm not familiar with Winter Park. I don't know how good they are, but it'll be a good test. Also for those kids get to go on a nice trip like that, man. That's going to be really cool as a high school player.
Hopefully they get to do something fun in Orlando too while they're down there.
Yeah.
We'll see Seneca at Woodmont.
Yep.
And then our HTC
hometown connection game. We've got St. James taking on Aner. St. James did not play last week. Aner had a nice win over Aiken. St. James head coach Tommy Norwood. Offensive line is a strength for them. They got a lot of young guys. Only returned 8 starters there. Quarterback Alex Sant, wide receivers Zarowski, Harnish, and Smith. Running backs Hill, Graham, and Glover. They have got to get better on defense. Gave up 35 points per game last year, John. Not going to win a lot of games doing that for sure. On the flip side, Aner, like I said, 37-13 over Aiken last week. Head coach Jason Allen run that old school single wing, turtle offense, whatever you want to call it. They run the ball a lot. We'll put it that way for sure. Quarterback Luke McCracken had a rush TD. Matthew Kirby, Austin Tanika, both had 2 touchdowns rushing last week. This is the best defense they've had in a while. So back-to-back weeks now, Aner's playing, higher level competition, John. I think the Blue Jackets get another win over a bigger school this week.
I think they do too. I really like what Aner's got going on. And I love when I don't know who reaches out to who scheduling these games, but I love that Aner is playing these games. That's really cool to see the lower classifications, not shying away from the big competition.
Will be a lot of fun there. Once again, St. James at Aner, our HTC hometown connection game. Every week we'll do one of these. Basically, it's a game. It's going to feature a team from either Marion, Georgetown, or Horry County. HTC, great sponsor of the program. This is live. Connect with it. Check out their website. We'll run their commercial in a little bit. Definitely appreciate them supporting the program. But, Jerel, any more comments on 5A from you or from the chat before we move down into the next class?
Let's roll to 4, guys.
Looking down at 4A now, John.
Bluffton will go to Andrew Jackson. This will be Andrew Jackson's first game of the year. Gray going into Tennessee. They're going to play the Baylor school, very good private school there. I think that's in the Chattanooga area.
Yeah, Baylor was on TV Sunday. They beat actually Rabin Gap-Nakuchi out of the Georgia area there. Coach Kimry squad, great football team there. I don't know how to compare Gray and Baylor. I really don't. Gray was very impressive. Nice win over James Island last week for sure. But this game is going to be tough for the War Eagles.
Yeah, but hey, great game to schedule. Dion says Gray by 3. Hopefully it is a good game. We'll see Landrum going to Berea. We'll have Lawrence going to Clinton. Clinton trying to bounce back from that tough loss last
fun
week.
County rivalry right there. Year one for Coach Porter, kind of running a flex bone type offense there. Clinton, we know what they do with that kind of Jamie Chadwell style. That they looked good last week. Just got fell up, came up one play short against Woodruff. Really, the quarterback Tyson Richardson looked great. The running back Cook looked good as well. I think Clinton gets back to their winning ways this Friday night.
I think so too. Then we'll see Woodland going to Colleton County. Richland Northeast will be at Crestwood. Cardinal Newman going to Dreer. See some SCISA SCHL action there.
Yeah, that's back-to-back weeks for Cardinal Newman. They lost a close one to St. Joe's last week. I believe I saw this stat. I don't know if I can confirm or not. Caleb Ford, the running back at Cardinal Newman, ran for 400 yards 2 weeks ago in their first game in SCISA. Ran for 300 last week. I believe he is the nation's leading rusher at this time with 700-plus yards. I can't guarantee it, but I've heard that floating around Twitter. If so, that's very impressive. And it won't last, you don't think. But, hey, maybe it does. Maybe it does.
350 a game. It might.
That's right.
Yeah, 700 yards, and some people haven't even played the game yet. We'll see Travelers Rest going to Emerald.
Big win for both of those teams last week. TR, Coach Goodman, they get their first win there over Wade Hampton. Emerald took down 96, and a big surprise to me there. Cool matchup in 4A.
Woodruff will go to Fountain Inn, as we talked about. Big win for Woodruff over in Clinton.
Two fun, exciting offensive teams there.
Belton Honeypath will travel to Greer.
The Marquise Henderson show goes on the road. I think last week was 8 touches, 4 touchdowns. This week, maybe we go to like 15 touches, 3 touchdowns. I don't know. We'll see. VHP is good, man. They're very good.
Yeah, I was impressed with their defense last week. That defensive line played tough. They're a really good team. Lancaster will go to Indian Land. South Aiken will go over to Georgia to play at Lakeside. Southside will go to Liberty. We will see Brooklyn Casey going to River Bluff. Bishop England will go to St. John's. Pickens will be at Walhalla. Gilbert will go to Wilson. And Nation Ford will be at York.
Perfect. Any 4A comments, Jerel, from you or from the chat?
Just a couple score predictions that came in late.
Diaz at South Aiken by 14. Hey, the defense looked good for South Aiken last week, so if they can keep that going, they have a chance for sure. Chris says Indian Land by 13 in that ball game as well. Perfect.
Let's loop around to 3.
Let's go to 3A, John.
All right, in 3A, lead it off. Andrews will be hosting Georgetown.
A fun county rivalry there. First game for Andrews. I think Georgetown did play last week, so they've got a week head start, but I still like Coach Durham, Brandon Cumbie, those guys. I like Andrews in that ball game.
A pretty good matchup here. St. Joseph's going to Chapman. Broome will be at Chesney. Christ Church is going to host the Asheville School out of North Carolina. Big Cross hosting North Charleston. Fox Creek will go to Dixie. We've got Waccamaw going to Hannah-Pamplico. Battery Creek will play at John Paul II. Keenan hosting Pendleton. Pendleton getting a lot of love in the media poll today.
Up to 3 in that poll. Offense is explosive for sure with Grass and Webb and those guys.
Sherrall, here's a big-time game now. Sherrall going to Marlboro County.
That's a fun rivalry.
Winner of this game is really going to say a lot. I think both teams have a lot of positivity going with them right now. Winner of this game, big deal for that.
Yeah,
big deal for whoever wins it.
Coach Johnson got his first win with the Bulldogs last week. I believe it was at Lakewood. I think they played.
No, Sumter played Lakewood.
They played Lake Marion then possibly last week, whoever it was. Yeah, big win for those guys. Obviously, Sherrall, nice win over McBee as well. Will be a fun game to see. It's tough, with it being a 2A, 3A matchup. You feel like you want to lean Marlboro County in this one, especially at home, but we'll see how that one shakes out.
That's what I'm thinking too. Nothing against Sherrall, but I think Marlboro County should win this game. Should have a little bit more depth than the Braves. Newberry will be at Mid-Carolina.
Newberry looks really good. Great win over Union County last week.
Oceanside will be hosting Calvary Day out of Georgia.
Interesting game there. Obviously, if you have not seen Oceanside Collegiate head coach Chad Wilkes resign today, don't have any more details than that. It'll be an interesting game to see, what kind of product they can put on the field this Friday. They had a tough game against Irmo last week, 35-7 loss, but that's not actually awful for 3A versus 5A against a team like Irmo. I mean, that's not a terrible loss there. We know they got playmakers with Monavian and Virgilio and Mormon and guys like that, but what kind of headspace will the Land Sharks be in? I don't know. It'll be tough to see for sure, but wish them the rest of the way for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hemingway will be at Orangeburg Wilkinson. Palmetto hosting Crescent. Abbeville will go to Powdersville. A little nice rivalry.
That's been a fun game the last couple of years. It has. I'm
glad they're playing this.
I think last year it came down to a 2-point conversion. I believe Abbeville converted to win the game on 2-point conversion late in that one. So it should be a fun matchup between Coach Nichols and Coach Mustard there. Shout out to Coach Nichols. They actually renamed Abbeville Stadium last week Height Nichols Stadium now in honor of him as well. So really cool game. Deion says A-Town by 10. We shall see. Powdersville keeps getting these close games and keeps just barely losing. So at some point, you got to think that script's got to flip. But this week, I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? Abbeville's really good.
They are a very good football team.
It should be a great game. If last 2 years have been any indication, Abbeville 1-1, Powdersville win the other. Should be a really fun ball game. Dillon will go to Socastee.
Quarterback Ramon Chandler has looked really good for Dillon. Filling in, kind of getting that job last minute there. But he has played some good football so far. Him and Felton have got it going on offense. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe they're playing better football now. I don't know. But Chandler's looked really good at that quarterback spot for the Wildcats. A great win last week.
We'll see Mountain View going to Southside Christian.
Mountain View Prep was impressive on Saturday. 69-0 win over Atlantic Collegiate. Atlantic Collegiate, not a super, super high-level team right now, obviously, but Mountain View Prep has some studs up, McGill and Drummond and Hainsworth. We'll find out more about them. That'll be a fun matchup on Friday night.
Yeah, that'll be definitely a step up in competition for Mountain View. I expect they win this game as well. We'll see Silver Bluff going to Strom Thurmond. Pre-big ball game here.
Yeah, always a fun one down there when those two get together. Strom Thurmond looked really good over McCormick last week. Silver Bluff, struggled some there. They've got some pieces they still got to get figured out, man. They got a bunch of new faces down there on defense and offense there. Obviously, a new head coach as well with Coach Hayes coming in. Strom Thurmond looked really good. I felt like I like what they've got on both sides of the ball. I think the Rebels, man, I think that defense is too tough. I think they win this ball game. I think they probably win by a couple scores, really.
Yeah, apparently this game is going to be at Silver Bluff, not Strom Thurmond.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Cam. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Rebs win in this one. But Silver Bluff, they'll get it worked out. I think they'll be right where they need to be coming into the year. We'll see Denmark Olar going to Swansea. Fairfield Central will go to Union. And the DOT charter school will be at West Oak.
That maybe West Oak won a game last week, and it may have been against those guys. So I don't know. We may have some bad info here, John. I'm not sure. But West Oak did win a football game last week. Jerel, any 3A comments from you or from the chat? Heather says MVP for the win. Yeah, I'm leaning those guys as well. I think they win this ball game. Looked really good on Saturday over at PC.
I think they're going to win a lot of games.
Courtney says the Bears by 50, best team in 3A. There certainly could be. I mean, they're one of the favorites. I think when we did our preview show, we had them, right there, 1, 2, 3, somewhere like that when we were, kind of breaking down ourselves. So certainly one of the top teams there. Bulldogs' Newberry offense is legit. Yes, Satterwhite at quarterback, Jamel House, catching the ball. They got a really good, really talented offense for sure that the Bulldogs do. Put on a quarterback transfer from Daniel. Cool. Started freshman. Yeah, Jace Grass. Okay, Nathan, did not know that. Yeah, he is he's an impressive player. Looked good last week. We'll see when they get into region play, play some tougher teams, how good it is, but looked good last week. RJ says Chapman will bounce back. Yeah.
Maybe it's okay for Chapman.
I mean, playing Daniel's always tough, and replacing so many pieces as well for Coach Cab's squad there. I'm sure they'll be fine. Just it's going to take a few weeks to get that going. Jason has Swansea going to 2-0. Coach Fox, big win last week. They can certainly keep it rolling against the Vikings. Jeffrey says those. Okay, first flight's who it was. Okay, I knew they beat somebody, so they got first flight. The Wright brothers last week. We know we got Charter,
Department of Transportation
charter this week. Got it.
We'll play some maritime school next week.
Cam says Kenton Caldwell playing some Wildcat for Newberry as well. Okay, good to know. Good to know. He's another playmaker there for those guys.
And
Coach Peter is pushing all the right buttons right now. It feels like for sure.
Yeah.
And I got to pull up the comment of the night for Nathan.
Got to provide some context. Yeah, man, they cannot. Ever since that game a couple years back, they can't quite get that point back. It feels like for sure. Great comment there, Nathan.
Might have been
Nathan. Always blame Kevin Thomas for that. He's the one that took the video.
He ran right at me. What do you want me to do?
Make a play. Make a play.
Perfect. Any comments from you, Jerel, on 3A, 4A, or 5A?
Let's thank some friends of the program and keep this thing moving.
Perfect.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Okay, let's take a look now at the 2A slate, John. What do we got in action down in that 2A class?
Starting with the flashes, Johnsonville will go to Atlantic Collegiate.
Interesting game here. Johnsonville, a tough loss to Chesterfield last week. Atlantic Collegiate obviously got beat pretty badly by MVP. Johnsonville team that replaces a lot of pieces. They're going to slowly come together. I do think they win the ball game this week.
Yeah, I think they bounce back this week. Wilson Elko will go to Barnwell.
Thursday night game there between those two. Alley's got Wilson Elko by 6. They had a nice win over Pillion last week. But Barnwell, we saw them in person on Thursday. Cam Austin, Jaquan Peoples, Nehemiah Brown, Logan Sturkey. Coach Smith's squad is ready for a deep run. They had a nice win over Blackfield Hilda last week. I like Barnwell to move to 2-0. We have fun Thursday night ball game.
Yeah, and that was good to bounce back after Blackfield Hilda knocked off Barnwell last year.
Yep.
Speaking of Blackfield Hilda, they'll host Edisto this week.
I think it's a get right game. It's a get right game for the Fighting Hawks there for sure.
We're on the same page there. Bamberg Earhart will be at Buford. Lee Central will go to Burke. American Leadership travels to Calhoun Falls. Central will host Parkwood out of North Carolina. Broome will try to bounce back. They will go to Chesney. I saw that game with Broome and Belton Honeypath last week. Broome's got They got some talent. I really like their running back. He's a big kid, but offensive line's got to get a little bit better, and defensively they got to get a little bit better. But you know what? Great thing is you're not going to play Marquise Henderson again. Great Falls will go to Chesterfield. Great win for Chesterfield last week.
Yeah, Coach Quinn getting on the board there, back on the sidelines. You know, Coach Newton at Great Falls, they took a loss last week, but they're going to get better as the season goes on. But I like Chesterfield moving to 2-0 here.
Me too. Bethune-Bowman will go to Eau Claire. Hampton County hosting Allendale Fairfax.
Hampton County looked good. They're the number one poll number one in the prep media poll now. They had a running back, Jalen Brown, I believe was his name, had a big game for them. Terrence, good to see you, my man. Hampton County in the house. Great win last week. I think they get another one this Friday.
Yeah, I think so too. Whale Branch, they will go to Hardyville.
I think I saw this game was actually canceled. Hardyville canceled. Not sure why. Hardyville won their first game they played since like 2012, on last Friday. Not sure the situation, but I want to say I saw that come out yesterday. That game has actually been canceled. Whale Branch looking for an opponent. Not sure if it's a sickness thing or what. I don't know there.
Carver's Bay will be at Kingstree. Liberty hosting Southside. Latta will go to Marion.
Swamp Foxes need to get right. They need to get right. I don't know. This is the week to do it. I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one for those boys.
Yeah, now you gotta think Latta's licking their chops at take down the Marion Swamp Fox.
Yeah.
We got to shout out Latta here. Was it Tyreek McAllister made the roster of the Raiders? So it's pretty
true.
cool.
That's true. That's the CONA boys in the league now out of Latta. I love that.
Yeah, that's very
always got to give that a shout out.
And he played. I know this because spent some time in Charleston, West Virginia. He played his college ball at the University of Charleston, West Virginia. So he didn't play big time high school football, didn't play big time college football, but now he's on the bright lights, making the 53-man roster. So that's awesome.
Really
awesome,
cool to
awesome
see.
Stuff to
really
hear.
cool to see.
Going on, we've got North Central. We'll be going to McBee. Short trip for those guys. Academic Magnet. I think this was the game. It was
listed last week, but they weren't playing last week. Yeah, we need
Academic Magnet and Military Magnet. Not sure.
Y'all had a week. You've had a week. Let me hear the commentary.
Yeah. Academic Magnet, tough loss last week to Patrick Henry. Military Magnet, blowout for me.
Hey, they're at home.
Yeah.
We got Lakeview going to Mullins. Big win for Lakeview last week.
Big win for Mullins. First win for Coach Mark Lowry. They went winless last year. Got a nice win over Hemingway this past week. Lakeview looks really good, though. They do with Casey Herlong, Tyrell Foxworth, and those guys.
Columbia will be going to Peoria. Ridgeland hosting East Clarendon. Saluda is going to be hosting Rich Spring Monetta. Manning going to Scotch Branch. Lake City will be at Timberland.
Fun game there. Two teams that I think are kind of laying in the weeds in 2A. Both have a lot of really talented players. Big up front. Got some good athletes as well. That'll be a fun game to follow on Friday night.
We'll have Batesburg-Leesville going to Wagner-Sally.
Wagner-Sally, nice win last week. Batesburg-Leesville, a nice win as well. Actually, they played technically a scrimmage, I think it was last week, down at Cane Bay. Beat a bigger school. But Batesburg-Leesville, I think it's coming. I've heard some other things about them. It'll be a fun matchup.
And 96 will go to Ware Shoals.
Perfect. Any 2A comments, Jerel, from the chat before we look down at the 1A ranks? Alex says, shout out Wilson Elko. Yeah, big first win over Pillion last week for those guys. They looked great. Go Pendleton says, big coach. Hey, the boys looked awesome. They're number 3 in the poll now. Playing some good football. As always, we'll have our poll coming out here in a couple of weeks once we get a better feel for some of these teams. But the statewide prep media poll has them at 3 currently.
Let's roll to 1A, guys.
Looking down at the 1A ranks, John.
We'll have Calhoun Falls hosting American Leadership. We'll have, skipping down, there's some repeats here.
Yep.
We'll have Louisville going to Hunter Kenner Tyler.
Really good ball game here. Two really good 1A teams. Louisville, a nice win over. Okay, John. Maybe Jerel and I had this conversation last week. You people in the chat, help me out here. So the school, is it Pageland Central? Is it Central Pageland? Is it just Central? Is it just Pageland? What is the name? I feel like I've heard all of those said before. What do you call the school?
So when I was in high school, we played in their golf tournament every year, and they refer to themselves as Central of Pageland.
Central of Pageland.
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe that's what it is. That's fine with me. I just feel like I've heard all of them going around the block.
Whether the branding has changed, because I noticed on everything it says Central. Okay,
yeah.
Central Pageland used to be, They used to say, I thought maybe they were saying Central Pageland. I thought they would say Central of Pageland, but maybe it's just Central now. But it confuses me. So I'm a Kershaw County guy, close to Pageland. I can't say Central confuses me because Lee Central is over in Bishopville.
Yep.
So I like Central Pageland, and then Lee Central and Bishopville help me separate the two.
Perfect. Well, we got it now. Anyway, so Louisville beat Central Pageland 20-0 last week. They're kind of that weird game where it got moved from Louisville to Central Pageland, then over to Beaufort. Thank you, Central Pageland. Okay, we got it now. I think we're on the same page. Good to know. Good to know. So, they win by 20-0. Had some drop passes. I think they had a couple pick six.
Okay.
This is called back, I believe Louisville did. HKT, though, man, they got some athletes down there. They are a team to watch in 1A. I think Louisville just too much firepower. Robinson and Rogers and those guys. Howells. I think Coach Usher's squad plays a better football game this week. I think they win this game on the road. But it's not going to be easy. But I do like Louisville to win this one.
I think it's going to be a really close ball game. I think Louisville does have the better talent, though. Dejan saying bad week for Louisville. Oh, okay. Had some guys sick, some injured. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. I agree with you, Dejan. I think Louisville wins this ball game. Pageland did a good job with 31 minutes of clock control. Yeah, that's a lot. You get what, 3 possessions pretty much if they hold it 31 minutes?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
31-17. That's pretty good.
That's crazy.
We'll see Lamar hosting Green Sea Floyds.
Lamar needs a nice bounce back win. They played a good football game against Darlington last week, just not quite enough. A few too many mistakes there. I think Coach Burst's squad bounces back with a win.
McCormick, they will host Lincoln County out of Georgia. We will see, let's see, did we skip any here? Whitmire, they will go to Spartanburg Christian.
I believe that's a Thursday game, I believe.
Okay. We'll have Denmark Olart Swansea. And that wraps it up for 1A as well.
Perfect. Any 1A comments or thoughts, Jerel? What about Allendale Fairfax? Do you have their game there, John? I believe they're playing up a class.
I want to say they're
playing Hampton County.
Silver Bluff?
They're playing Hampton County.
Hampton County,
Hampton
right?
County.
Yeah, going to be a tough week there for the Tigers. Hampton County's a really good football team, Drayshawn. Allendale Fairfax, a team that I feel like it's been kind of a roller coaster last couple of years. We're having a few really good games and a few really bad games. Just can't quite find some consistency there. And Hampton County is a tough team to play against. I think Coach Hannah's squad gets a win.
Yeah.
That's it for 1A, guys.
Perfect. Looking over at the SCISA slate for this Friday, we've got Jefferson Davis playing GSIC. We've got Williamsburg playing PD. That'll be a fun ball game there. Kings Academy going to Cross. Hamden going to Pinewood Prep. Lee Academy at Dillon Christian. King at Oakbrook Prep. Wardlaw at Lawrence Academy. Christian Academy at Caroline Academy. The Spartans at Palmetto Christian. Ben Lippin at Trinity. Northside Christian at Wilson Hall. Greenwood Christian at Calhoun. Andrew Jackson at OP. Newberry at Richard Wynn. First Baptist at Northwood. Beaufort at St. John's. Thomas Sumter at Florence Christian. Bethesda at Hilton Head Christian. And Thomas Heyward at Colleton Prep, our SCISA game of the week there. A couple thoughts on some of those ball games. Northside Christian, Sam Burks, 20 for 113, 2 touchdowns last week. That'll be a fun game against Wilson Hall. Wilson Hall actually threw for some touchdowns they usually don't do there. Williamsburg and PD. Williamsburg replacing a ton. Lost a ton of talent with Ward and Balder and Moore and those guys. PD, a big-time winner of Trinity Collegiate last week, 40-20, game called the third due to some lighting issues. The Golden Eagles look good. I think they win this ball game this week. Lee Academy and Dillon Christian. Dillon Christian lost on a last-second field goal. Interesting to see how they bounce back from that. Ben Lippin at Trinity. Ben Lippin with Crooks and Carmichael. I think they may have too much talent outside for Trinity if they win that ball game there. Then Newberry at Richard Wynn. Richard Wynn's Charlie Bonds. 3 rush touchdowns, a pass TD, a kickoff return TD, and a pick last week. Richard Wynn, the Eagles look good. That should be a fun ball game there. Drill.
It's like hitting for the cyclone.
That's right. That's right. Any other comments from the chat we need to address? Anything in general before we move on to the next portion of the program?
I don't think so, guys.
Perfect. Let's shout out some friends of the program. Whew, all over the place right now.
Preferred Home Services. How can we make you smile today? Preferred Home Services. For electrical or plumbing, cooling too. Go, 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 Preferred.
Facing unexpected expenses and need a quick play? A personal loan from Founders Federal Credit Union can help you cover costs and get back in the game. With competitive rates and flexible terms, a personal loan from Founders is the winning play. Whether it's for a big purchase or an emergency, we've got you covered. Visit foundersfcu.com/personal to get started. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
And I did miss one more. Yeah, Lawrence Manning playing Heathwood Hall. The Swamp Cats, a lot of talent there. New head coach Robbie Briggs. Heathwood Hall, tough loss at HP. Hand Pamplico last week. Kurt Zimmerman. Fun ball game. I like Lawrence Manning to win that one there. Let's take a look now, guys, at our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hannah Engineering. Each week we do a list of 11 games. We post it on our social media. You can get in there. You can join all that stuff. We drop your lowest week. It's a lot of fun. We do a prize at the end of the season. Let's shout out our winners last week. We had Kyle C with the big 11 spot, a perfect score, John. A bunch of 10s there with Dadrian and Shannon, Isaiah, Kevron, Dion, Linnell, Nick, Dawson, Charlie, and Curtis with 10. A bunch of 9s there. John, you had a nice 10 spot there as well. Jerel and I was 7. A lot of fun. If you guys haven't joined the Pick'em, certainly do so. Definitely appreciate our friends at Hannah Engineering for helping us sponsor that. Get that in, get your picks in by 7 o'clock on Friday. That's a lot of fun to do each week. It gives you a reason to watch games other than your own school, which is a lot of fun to do. So definitely be a part of that. Want to shout out our teams of the week brought to you by Preferred Home Services. We had Lakeview, Woodruff, and Hammond. Our players of the week by the Georgia Agency. We had Cole Fletcher at Wando, Carter McCollum at Pickens, Michael Mathis at Patrick Henry. So shout out once again, Hannah Engineering, Preferred Home Services, and the George Agency. Lots of great stuff we got going on with those guys. John, this has been a fun show. Lots of good comments, lots of good football this week. And it's a tough time of year because some of these games we think are going to be good because we just don't know much about these teams where they're actually not going to be good games at the end. But you just don't know. Don't know. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS, MovinChains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show, 7:15 on Tuesdays. It's a lot of fun as you guys have been a part of it. We enjoyed you being in here with that. Keep checking us out on Facebook and YouTube for that. We do our recap show on Sundays. We do a coach interviews. We do player interviews. All that stuff's on social media. We mention players of the week, teams of the week, stock up, games of the week. All great stuff coming to you guys all week long. So definitely check us out on all social media platforms. We got our Food Review Friday coming out Friday. Some great concessions from last week as well. As always, get your Movin The Chains merch, some great hats, some great toboggans, some great hoodies. We got some T-shirts coming soon as well. You can email us, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can leave us a comment here. You can DM us here, whatever's better for you guys. Definitely get your merch to support the boys. I'm looking forward to a fun week 1, John. I mentioned it, a lot of big games, man. And I think we're just going to learn a lot about some of these teams here this week.
And what I'm starting to realize too, that we did the preview show, the season preview show, then, last week's week 0 preview, this week's preview. There are so many teams across the state with a lot of talent.
Yeah.
I feel like every handful of games we come across, we go, well, these guys got some really good talent. And there's a lot of games this week where both sides, there's some really serious talent on both sides of the both sidelines. And that's really exciting. That makes it exciting for everybody, for the fans, the kids, the schools, the towns, us especially.
Yeah.
Really cool to see. We're not just seeing a couple of duds and 3 clouds and 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We're actually seeing some really good football all across the state.
Yeah. And last week too, John, it was fantastic weather to be at a game. Like, it was great. Like, it got actually a little chilly on Friday night down on the field there. It got a little chilly, but yeah, it felt great all weekend long. I know you said possible weather this Friday. We'll see how that shakes out. Got some games on Thursday as well. So if you guys will get to a Thursday game, certainly do that. As always, keep us up to date. Shoot us some tags on social media with the game you're at. Love to see some pictures. Love to get some insight from you guys because we don't get to go to all the ball games. So definitely do that. Join us for Spaces on Friday night. We'll basically kind of do a quick scoreboard show on Twitter/X after the games are over, about 10:30 or so, 11 o'clock maybe. Tune in for that as well. Any final thoughts from you, Jerel? Final thoughts from you, John? Any other comments? Jerel, pop through. We need to go through right quick.
No, I'm just excited for this week. I think it's going to be fun. Everybody gets to play other than the people who have the weird bye weeks already. That's going to suck for them, having a bye week 1. But I'm excited. Yeah. Shout out to you guys. I know John was out at BHP, and then Kevin did 3 nights of football. I did 2. So, and if you see us, please stop and say hello. We always enjoy interacting with you guys when we're out at a stadium. Special shout out to our man Jackson down at Barnwell.
Yes,
great to see him.
Shout out to Jackson, awesome kid. Great to talk to him Thursday. Coach Smith down there, Coach Jones down there, Robert Altman down there. Great to see him as well. A lot of great folks down at that Blackfield Hill to Barnwell game on Friday. Coach Campbell and Coach Sloan, Coach Fountain. Good to see those guys. Our buddy Zach. Miss Cindy, great to talk to her as well over there at Clinton. And then Saturday over at Westside, Coach West and Coach Lane, and then our guy Cam and Coach Pearson. And we saw Curtis Thursday as well, Jerel. Lots of great folks we've got a chance to meet the last couple of years and see and talk with. So really cool stuff there. So if you guys see us at a ball game, definitely come out and say, hey, we'd love to talk ball with y'all. So definitely do that.
One last question before we get out of here tonight. Where are you guys going to be on Friday? I'm out this week, unfortunately. Where are you guys going Friday? That's what everybody wants to know.
I think I'm leaning that JL Mann Gaffney game, man. Haven't made the final call yet, but that's got to be one of the front runners for sure.
Yeah, that's what that one looks pretty tasty to me too.
For sure. I did see a quick stat from Tyler. Said Wilson Elko has not beaten Barnwell since 2016. I think that trend probably continues. I like the Warhorses again this week, John. Any final thoughts from you here on week one as we wrap up the show?
I'm excited, and if it rains, I got a new raincoat, so bring it on.
I love. We're going to brave the elements. We're not some of those guys that got to get in the press box. No. We're going to be either in the stands or on the field. We're going to be out with the crowd in the atmosphere. We want that. But a lot of fun with our week one preview show as always. Jerel Hendricks on the up. Go ahead, Jerel. No, Jerel, you got something else for us?
I got nothing. It just popped me up. Sorry.
Well, for Jerel Hendricks on the board, for John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our week one preview show for South Carolina High School football. Movin The Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.